It has been a big week of WPF softball in San Marcos, and it comes to a close with the 8th and final game of the weekend. The reigning champion Texas Smoke playing for a 4-game sweep as they host the expansion Coastal Bend Tidal Wave in the finale. On the official WPF YouTube channel, Brant Freeman alongside Haley McKay, and so far it's been Smoke dominance, 3 games against the Tidal Wave, 3 wins.
The Tidal Wave yesterday had their chance to take down the defending WPF champions, but the Texas Smoke did what they do best, found a way to win with their backs against the wall, and got out of here with a 7-6 victory.
In the circle today for Kat Tarver's team is the former Texas State Bobcat pitching in a familiar surrounding Jessica Mullins, this year's Sun Belt Conference Pitcher of the Year, and gets the ball today in her first start of the series, her second appearance. Got a win in relief in the opener on Thursday. She'll face off against Grace Chelleman, the leadoff batter here for Coastal Bend. Second game of the day, and it is underway with strike 1 from Mullins. Also batting in this inning is Tate Whitley. She'll hit second for the Tidal Wave, followed by Tatum Monzaldo. Batters 1, 2, and 3. 4, 5, and 6, Trinity Cannon, Julia Jimenez, and Alyssa Garcia. And then the bottom third of the order, Ryler Wiggins, Maya Stevenson, and Malaysia Ochoa. So again, Mullins that win on Thursday, inning of the third, and did not give up a run. Swing and a miss by Chelleman, 1 and 2. And Mullins now to start off her pro career, 3-0.
Very impressive start to her rookie campaign, really halfway through the season at this point. Really picked up right where she left off from her time as a Texas State Bobcat.
And starts off the game with a strikeout. Chelleman at the top of the zone goes down looking. 1 up and 1 down for Mullins to start the day.
Jessica Mullins using her backdoor curveball completely freezes Chelleman here for strike 3. Stayed away from her that entire at bat. Chelleman does have that closed stance. Give her a little bit more room to reach the outer part of the plate, but unable to help her there against Jessica Mullins.
Now Tate Whitley looks at a pitch in the dirt. Whitley so far in the series 3 for 9 with a couple of runs batted in. Came in the game yesterday, as Haley said, really competitive after some routes from the Smoke to start the series. 7-1 on Thursday, 9-0 on Friday. Just a 1-run game yesterday, and again we saw some drama late with the Tidal Wave almost erasing a 3-run 7th-inning deficit.
Softball's so funny that way. You can have 2 games that are not competitive at all in terms of the score, and then you find yourself in a pitcher's duel on day 3, especially when you have 2 teams that have played each other several times already in the season. They're all familiar with what talent is on the other side. Really nice play right there from Charla Eccles. She's so steady over there at third base, a former Florida Gator, holding down that hot corner.
2 up, 2 down. That'll bring up Tatum Monzaldo. Hit a solo homer against the Smoke on Thursday, the only run of the game for the Tidal Wave in the opener. It was a game Coastal Bend led 1-0 going into the bottom of the 6th inning, and then the Smoke, as they're accustomed to do, have one of their big innings, a 7-run 6th, to turn that game around.
What's so impressive about the Smoke is they don't care if there's no outs, 1 out, or 2 outs. If there's an out on the board to be recorded, they're a threat at the plate. They've scored so many runs this season with 2 outs, and that is so tough mentally as an opponent and a pitching staff. They just feel like they're so hard to retire.
Swing and a miss, couple of strikeouts from Mullins, and a 1-2-3 first inning. So Mullins, with her first start of the series, off to a pretty good start today. Retires the Tidal Wave in order, a couple of punch-outs along the way. We head to the bottom of the first inning, and the Smoke will be batting for the first time in the finale. In the circle today for Coastal Bend is Kelly Lynch. Lynch from Noonan, Georgia, pitched her final year of college at LSU. Before that, 4 years at Washington, actually a two-way player and very good at that. In her final year of college softball, pitching in the SEC, had a record of 9-3, was named second team all-conference in Baton Rouge, 2.70 ERA, and 5 strikeouts shy of 100 this season for the Tigers. The batting order for the Smoke, again, always really potent, leads off in Silent Rain Espinosa, who's had a really big series. Morgan Howell bats second, followed by Jazz Hill, third of the order. 4, 5, and 6, Charlotte Eccles, Samantha Shao, and Jada Cody. And then 7, 8, and 9, Elizabeth Mason, Anna Marie Bruni, and Denver Bryant. Talked about the big series for Espinosa, 5 for 10 with a homer and a double, and 5 RBI. Had a big bases clearing double as a part of that 7-run 6th inning on Thursday.
Espinosa going to be quite familiar with her former teammate Kelly Lynch here in the circle. Sometimes it's harder as a hitter to face people that you're familiar with because you can get into a mode of guessing. Or sometimes you know exactly what their game plan is and they know what your weaknesses are and how to attack them. So always a little bit of a chess game in the sport of softball, especially when you're playing old teammates and friends.
Yeah, these two right here, this matchup, Lynch against Espinosa. Big reason why the Huskies wound up in Oklahoma City in 2023.
Kelly Lynch had so much experience in the circle at Washington. Decided to transfer with her 5th year, brought that experience down to LSU. LSU a really stacked roster this season in 2024. That ball just foul.
And Espinosa again hitting leadoff as she has the entire series in place of Janae Jefferson. Both she and Savannah Jaquish on the Smoke roster, currently with the U.S. women's national team in Italy. One, two. Another foul ball there from Espinosa.
It's a great job by Espinosa to just foul that pitch off pretty far on the corner, maybe even off the plate entirely, but she still gets so much barrel to it just to spoil it and see another pitch.
Leadoff batter for the Smoke has reached 9 times in the series already. As Espinosa leads off with the first, rolls one to the shortstop on Zaldo, and one away for Kelly Lynch and the tidal wave here in the bottom half of the 1st inning.
Nice little change of pace there from Kelly Lynch in the circle. Pulls the string just a little bit to throw off Silent Rain Espinosa's timing. Induce a routine ground out to Anzaldo over at short.
So with that, nobody on and one away for Morgan Howe. Howe 4 for 11 of the series, a couple of homers of her own and 6 runs batted in. Swung on, smacked to center field. Tracking it down is Ochoa, and that's going to hold Howe to a single.
Phenomenal job by Ochoa out in center field to cut this ball off and hold Morgan Howe to a single. Both the Texas Smoke and the Texas Monarchs received their pro Marucci bats earlier this week. And when I say the ball has been jumping off the bat, that is probably the biggest understatement I can make. That ball was hit so hard off the bat of Morgan Howe, but Ochoa able to cut it off and hold her to just a single.
Now Jazz Hill, and that ball hit to right. That's in for a base hit. Howe to seconds. Hill coming off her big game yesterday, one of 5 Smoke players to hit solo homers in the 7-6 win. She's on with the base hit. So 2 on, 1 out, and it brings up another hot bat for the Smoke, Charlotte Eccles. Eccles, again, has had a huge series against the tidal wave to include a couple of home runs. Looking back at some of these big flies for Charlotte Eccles, a 3-run bomb came in the Game 2 win on Friday, part of a 7-run second inning. A 3-run shot for Charlotte Eccles, the first of 2 homers she's hit in the series as she went deep again yesterday. Talked about those 5 solo homers. One of those off the bat of Eccles, a line drive, frozen rope. This time pull side over the fence to right center. As she helped lead the Smoke to another win over the Tidal Wave, now 7-0 versus Coastal Bend this season.
Charlotte Eccles just has so much power. She's incredibly strong, and her swing is so simple and compact, but she doesn't skip out through extension. She gets that front foot down in time and just drives pitches right where they're pitched. Doesn't try to pull them, doesn't try to do too much. Just a textbook strong swing.
And you heard Haley reference those pro bats from Marucci. One of those being held by Eccles right here. Talk about all this power for the Smoke. And so far in the series, they have belted out 9 home runs. From, by the way, 7 different players.
So impressive. It's also worth noting for those that aren't as familiar with the jump from the college game to the pro game, when we're referencing the professional bats, when you're in college, your bats have to undergo pressure testing, and if they're too hot or above that threshold of how much pop is in the bat, they're considered illegal or unavailable to use. And that threshold is higher in the professional league than it is in college. So when we say the bats are hotter, there's more juice in them. The ball's really going to jump off, more compression, equals more power, and we've seen that on full display here all series long.
Again, this game 2, a doubleheader of WPF softball. Earlier today, Hub City, the Adelitas, run-ruled the Texas Monarchs 15-7 in 6 innings. Eccles a ground ball to the right side. Wiggins to the shortstop on Zondo, and back to first base to Trinity Cannon for 4-6-3 double play. And so the Tidal Wave with a twin killing here in the first inning. And we're going to go to the second, scoreless here in San Marcos after some good Tidal Wave defense. No score between Coastal Bend and the Texas Smoke. Last time out, we saw Jessica Mullins in the circle, went 3 up, 3 down in the start today against Coastal Bend. A couple of strikeouts of Grace Chellerman and Tatum Anzondo. Here the second inning, she'll face Trinity Cannon, Julie Jimenez, and Alyssa Garcia. But coming off that really nice double play, defensive play made by Coastal Bend in the bottom of the first.
Charlotte Eccles, very hard hit ground ball. Kind of a textbook draw up of a double play. If you're an infielder, you're always wanting that hard hit ball right at you so you can roll the double play. Great job by the Tidal Wave to turn it flawlessly.
Cannon leading off the second inning here for Coastal Bend. On the ground, and that's going to bounce through the right side for a base hit. Karam's off the right fielder, Howell. The Cannon's going to hold steady at first, and the Tidal Wave have their first base runner today.
This is another really hard hit ball from Trinity Cannon. Morgan Howell out in right field came in thinking she could throw Trinity Cannon out at first, just unable to field it cleanly. But if she were able to field that cleanly, she'd have a chance. Trinity Cannon running on the line.
And now the former Pac-12 player, Julie Jimenez, who played her college softball at Utah, batting here. You know, mentioned Canada, the base hit. She and Mullins have faced off against one another quite a few times. Texas State, Texas A&M playing each other regularly over the past several years. Past 2 seasons meeting in the NCAA tournament. It's a fly out to right, handled by Howe, and 1 away in the second.
Texas State and Texas A&M also faced off several times near the end of the season. In postseason play, they met in the regional final. A&M winning that regional to advance to the #1 overall seed in Austin, the University of Texas. That was an incredible super regional. Probably one of the most competitive super regional series I've seen in a long time. Just had everything that a super regional matchup could have.
Yeah, Aggies won the opener, and then Texas in extra innings won game 2. Able to finish off the Aggies in game 3. They almost came from behind to win that finale. Longhorns went on to go to Oklahoma City and then to the finals against Oklahoma. 1 ball, 1 strike to Alyssa Garcia here. Swing and a miss. It is 1-2.
Jessica Mullins doing a really nice job right now of attacking early in the count. Very in command of her pitches, especially up in the zone.
Struck her out. 3rd strikeout from Mullins. And 2 outs in the second inning. And so far struck out 3 of the first 6 batters she's faced.
If there's anything to know about Jessica Mullins is that she's going to compete. When she's locked in, ready to go, she's going to bring it no matter what the count is, especially when she is ahead in the count, though. She's on that hunter's mentality, trying to mow down as many hitters as she can.
Wiggins, a ground ball. In from second, Espinoza, a little underhand flip to Jada Cody at first base. Leadoff base hit for Cannon. After that, Mullins takes care of the side. She's pitched 2 scoreless. This game remains scoreless. The Texas Smoke batting for the 2nd time when we come back. You're watching Women's Pro Fast Pitch on the official WPF YouTube channel. What a start to the year for Kat Tarvin's team. 13-1 record through the first 14 games. They've won 10 in a row. A 5.5 game lead over the Texas Monarchs for first place in the WPF standings. Today, they play for their 2nd sweep of the season against the Coastal Bend Tidal Wave. And it is a scoreless game, I should say, as we go to the bottom of the 2nd inning. Samantha Shao, Jada Cody, and Elizabeth Mason coming up for the reigning WPF champions.
The Texas Smoke just has so much depth and talent on their roster. It's one thing to have a talented starting 9, but the entire roster from 1 through 9 and then all the way through the substitutes, they're just loaded, and they're not even with a full roster here, as you mentioned, with Jaquish and Jefferson off competing with Team USA. It's just so fun to watch, no matter what lineup Kat Tarvin throws out on the field.
Again, earlier today, Hub City, a 15-7 win over the Texas Monarchs. And those two wound up splitting the 4 games this weekend in San Marcos. The 2 wins for Hub City run rules Thursday and today. The 2 went extra innings last night, a walk-off win for the Monarchs on a Sarah Vanderford 2-run homer in the 8th inning. Hub City was down 7-3 going into the 5th inning of today's game, and then the offense just took off.
Hub City has really turned it around offensively from just a week ago. They look like a completely different team at the plate, swinging to do damage, and not just through doubles and singles, or doubles and home runs, excuse me, but tons of singles with runners in scoring position. And they utilized the short game today earlier as well.
Xiao with a take on 3-0. So Hub City scored 7 in the 5th, 5 more in the 6th inning. And a big day for Lena Reboledo. Drove in 6 runs, hit a homer, and a couple of doubles. Big part of her day. 3-1 to Samantha Xiao. Another strike from Kelly Lynch.
Love that off speed and a 3-1 count from Kelly Lynch. Not something you'll see a ton of pitchers do, since it can be hard to locate your off speed, especially when you need a strike. And in a hitter's count like 3-1, that's a tough pitch to drive, especially if you're not sitting it.
Leadoff walk, the first walk Lynch has given up. And Xiao is on to start the bottom of the 2nd inning. Xiao was a winning pitcher yesterday for the Smoke. Two-way player for the reigning champions. And that's going to bring up Jada Cody. Cody, one of the 5 homers the Smoke hit yesterday. Pops up this pitch, backpedaling is Wiggins for the first out.
Good location from Kelly Lynch there. Able to jam up Jada Cody on the inner part of the plate. A lot of times if you're not sitting on the inside half and you attack that pitch early in the count, you can find yourself jammed as a hitter. So if you're going to attack the inside part of the plate, you got to make sure you get your barrel out there.
Here's Elizabeth Mason. Kind of cool moment that we saw on Friday when Mason had a big day at the plate herself to include a home run. She's on the staff at UTA, and her head coach was here to watch her hit the home run.
Yeah, really special to see her head coach come out and support her, especially as she's continuing her career. Something that she can encourage the UTA student athletes with of, hey, you know, have a good career, work hard at it. There's opportunities after softball, or college softball, excuse me, if you're lucky. And I don't know, when I think back to my time as a collegiate athlete, not that I didn't trust what was coming from my coaches, but had we had a former player on staff or someone that was still doing it, playing professionally, it just kind of feels a little bit different coming when advice comes from them, because they understand what you're going through, and it's very relatable to today's game and how the bats are feeling, what the pitchers are doing. They're still walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
2-1 pitch, hard of the plate, and a call strike from Mario Calabrese behind the plate. Again, Lynch in the circle today for Coastal Bend. Had a tough outing out of the pen on Thursday. Gave up 5 earned runs in just an inning of relief. That's grounded to the left side. The shortstop Onzondo's one play available is at first, but the throw not in time. Mason able to beat it out. And now 2 on here for the Smoke. And Anna Marie Bruni coming up.
Mason just hits this straight into the ground. Onzaldo comes through, knows she doesn't have a play at second, tries to throw it over to first, but because she's throwing on the run, just unable to get enough juice on that ball to get it over to Cannon in time.
So for Mason, that's her 5th hit of the series. She's 5 for 9. And now Anna Marie Bruni. 2 on, 1 out. Bruni with a roller to Onzondo, to Wiggins at second for the force play. As Xiao now moves over to third base. 2 outs in the inning. That'll put runners in the corners for Denver Bryant.
Good job by Onzaldo to go the short way over to second. Smart decision by Wiggins to put that in her pocket and not risk an errant throw. See what the Smoke decides to do here with the first and third situation and 2 outs.
Thomas called here by Bryant, who started at shortstop all 4 games of the series for the Smoke. Have been splitting time at shortstop with Maddie Grimm. Two on, 2 down, and Bryant takes ball 1 low. Talked about Lynch's numbers this year at LSU. Again, before that, 4 years at Washington. A career record of 25 and 14 as a Husky, and over 300 career strikeouts.
See Denver Bryant tapping her chest there, saying, my bad, my bad. Anna Marie Bruni over at first is in motion on the first and third. Looks like Denver Bryant missed a sign, maybe a take or a fake bunt, try to draw the defenders out of position.
Runner takes off for second. Bruni is there without a throw. And so a stolen base will put a couple of runners in scoring position here for the Smoke. That also takes out that force play at second.
Bruni has so much speed. She just runs like her hair's on fire.
Bryant with a fly ball to center. And going back, Ochoa, and she's able to make the over-the-shoulder catch.
What a great grab from Ochoa, straight over her shoulder. Not an easy basket catch to make. Gets a great jump on it, running straight back. Just sticks her glove out at just the right time to keep this game scoreless.
A scoreless game as we go to the top of the third inning. Blake Miller and his Coastal Bend Tidal Wave trying to salvage a game in their trip to San Marcos. First time Coastal Bend has made the trip here to the Hill Country. Past 2 weekends at home in Robstown. They've dropped the first 3 games of the series to the Smoke. A competitive loss yesterday. And right now, no score here as we go to the third. And looking for his team to get some offense going as he makes his way to the third base coaching box. And some new headgear today for Blake Miller. Commented on his straw hat the last few days. Going with the traditional ball cap today.
He turned on the jets to get over there in time.
He did. He did. Maya Stevenson, leadoff batter here for the Tidal Wave. Hitting in the 8th spot of the order. Falls behind 0-2. Second time we're seeing Stevenson in the series. Started the opener on Thursday. Struck out an early plate appearance. Player with a lot of power throughout her college career. 1 year at Ole Miss. Before that, 4 years in Marshall. Hit 71 home runs in her career.
Had so many home runs. Just sitting here still trying to process that number.
When she retired, she was the nation's active leading home run hitter. This was after Dawson Allo had finished up at Oklahoma.
Some good company to be behind, that's for
Right.
sure.
Here's Stevenson, can't check her swing, and Mullins has her 4th strikeout of the day.
Beautiful changeup there from Jessica Mullins. Just comes out, pulls the string, got a little down motion to it. Great location. Stevenson tries to hold back, but just unable to keep that barrel back.
Well, it looked like she committed to the swing pretty early on there as well, and by the time her arms were extended, there was no coming back.
Yeah, you could see her try to kind of sit in her legs, but she just couldn't keep the barrel back. Sometimes you'll see hitters, their legs go, but they're able to kind of sit down and keep that barrel back and just flare it up the middle. But Stevenson was not expecting that rapid change of pace from Mullins.
Nobody on and one away for Malaysia Ochoa. So far, the Tidal Wave just 1 base runner on a cannon single in the second.
You know, that last changeup from Mullins, we've talked so much about the offense in this league and how powerful they've been. We haven't seen a ton of pitchers aside from Mullins and Jayla Wright, utilize their changeup a ton. And even if you're not throwing it for a strike as a pitcher, just the thought of the fact that you might in the hitter's mind is enough to adjust their timing. Now, you can't throw it in the dirt every single time to where it's not a competitive pitch, but if the pitchers could show that a little bit more, might have a little bit more success against these potent lineups.
Denver Bryant had a hard time fielding that ball cleanly, but where it was hit, I don't think Bryant really even had a play. We'll see how this is scored. I think Ochoa winds up at first base either way.
I agree with that. It's super deep in the 5-6 hole. Bryant had to generate all her momentum to throw.
Aspen scored as a base hit, and now we have a throw in his center field here from Elizabeth Mason. So Ochoa is taking off for second, put on the brakes, because if that throw got into the infield, then Ochoa might get picked off. Thankfully for her sake, the throw was a little bit wide of the target.
I don't know why she stopped, though. Maybe she just got a late jump. It was clear from the delivery of the throw that had the throw been on target, she would have definitely been caught in a rundown. Maybe she just saw that she got a late jump and decided she better stay put.
Back at the top of the tidal wave order to Grace Chellerman, struck out to start the game against Mullins. That'll run the count to 2 strikes here, 1-2 to Chellerman. Kind of the inverse career, so to speak, of Stevenson in terms of where she played. So while Stevenson played 4 years at Marshall, then transferred out, Chellerman 1 year in Michigan, then went to Marshall for 4 seasons.
Jessica Mullins is really trying to work away from Chellerman. Saw her stay away the entire first at bat. Now working all the way here again in her second at bat. Chellerman trying to make an adjustment.
And the runner goes Ochoa again. The throw down to the tag, and they got her. Mason able to gun down Ochoa. Espinosa with a tag. That'll wipe away Ochoa off the base pass.
Ochoa got a good pitch to run on. Saw that Mullins went to the changeup, but it was a little bit high. Mason in a good position to throw. I actually think she was called out here when she slipped off the bag there at the back. Nonetheless, the out recorded all the same.
Yeah, she kind of slid past the bag, and in her effort to try to get back to it, it was Espinosa heads up, kind of kept the glove on her the whole time, and by that, and when the hand came off, that was enough for the out call.
Some of these athletes get going so fast, they just slide past the bag. It's hard for them to hold on. Other athletes like myself didn't have that problem.
You didn't steal many bases, did you?
No, I did not. But you can't have all the gifts sometimes. You got to either hit it far or be fast, and I didn't get the speed gene, so.
Chellerman with a pop-up, left side, and Bryant is there in front of Jazz Hill to secure it and to end the inning. So far through 3, Mullins has faced just 1 more than the minimum. Now talking to her catcher Elizabeth Mason as we head to the bottom of the 3rd. No score in the Valley between Coastal Bend and the Texas Smoke. So fans taking in Sunday afternoon baseball. A lot of young softball fans. Haley talked about this earlier. A great opportunity for them to catch the game at a high level after the college season has ended. As we go to the bottom of the third inning, no score, Coastal Bend and the Texas Smoke. It has been a long week of softball in St. Marcus. 8 games this week. This is the 8th and final one. Doubleheaders all 4 days of the WPF schedule. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and today. And so far the Smoke 3-0 in the series, up on Coastal Bend and Hub City, and the Texas Monarchs played to a 2-2 split. Top of the order, batting for the Smoke in the third. Silent Rain Espinoza grounds the first pitch of the inning foul, facing off against Kelly Lynch.
We talked about this earlier. You referenced it here with the young ones in the stands. For anyone that's young that's watching this online or watching any sort of high-level softball, keep watching it. It's one of the best ways that you can learn the game. You might catch something in a situation that is a little bit nuanced. Listen to what the commentators are saying about it. Follow the rules. One of the best things I think that helped me get to the Division I level is just watching a lot of softball and understanding the game, because there's so much you can learn even when you're not at practice.
Oh, and that ball off the helmet of Espinoza. She looks to be okay. She goes to first base here. Also has that face guard on the helmet as well. Well protected, and Espinoza giving a thumbs up back to her dugout.
So glad to see that she was able to turn her head out of the way. And I'm glad to see that most of these athletes opt for the face mask option. It always scares me as a fan of the sport when, you know, the distance is so close, and to not have that face guard on, just anything can happen. You can foul a bunt off into your face, take a hit by pitch to the head. Just can't be too careful. Even as a base runner, sliding into the base, take a glove to the face.
Leadoff runner on for Morgan Howe, who singled back in the first inning. Can't check her swing. A ball and a strike as she faces Kelly Lynch for a second time. Howe with her hit earlier, now 5 for 12 with the series. And waiting on deck, Jazz Hill, who again had a big game yesterday, both defensively and at the plates, helping lead the Smoke to a 7-6 win. Here's a fly ball to center. Ochoa going back, looks, and that ball is way gone on the roof of the tool shed. And Morgan Howe, for the third time of the series, has gone deep.
I've seen Morgan Howe hit a lot of balls hard in this ballpark, but that was absolutely launched. It just got up in the air and kept going. I thought it was going to clear the building out in center field when it was hit off the bat. Just a beautiful swing, so much extension. I mean, look at her just get out there up underneath the ball and launch it. Unbelievable power from Morgan Howe.
We've seen a lot of balls here hit the tool shed. I'm not sure how many I've seen reach the roof of it.
Yeah, that's a first for me.
And that is now 10 home runs for the Smoke in the series. And Morgan Howe in 3 over the weekend. She hit 9 all of last season for the Smoke, on her way to earning Offensive Player of the Year honors in the WPF.
I've said this before, but it's worth mentioning again. I just love watching Morgan Howe with a bat in her hands. There's something about her presence in the box that is just captivating in a way.
Yeah. She can really handle the bat, as we've seen throughout the first half of the season, which again, by the way, by the time this game ends, we will have hit the halfway point of this year.
And it just doesn't feel like when you watch her swing, there's any holes in her game. Just always looks like she's in so much command of the at-bat in the batter's box.
Swing and a miss by Hill. She strikes out. First strikeout for Lynch. Yeah, but back to Howe, it's like she's up there with a purpose every time she's at the plate, knows how to handle herself no matter the situation. Runner at first, second or third, loaded, corners, empty. She knows how to handle herself in that situation.
Absolutely.
Nobody on, one away for Eccles. And strike one from Lynch. Here's a fly ball to left, and just shy of the track. That catch made by Whitley. A long fly for Eccles, but not deep enough, and she's 0 for 2. After the homer, give it up. Lynch has retired Hill and Eccles, and that'll bring up Samantha Shao.
Nice job by Kelly Lynch after giving up the hit by pitch, and then this 2-run home run to Morgan Howe, settling right back in, getting the strikeout of Jazz Hill, and inducing the fly out of Charlotte Eccles. There's no holes in this lineup, so if you're going to regroup as a pitcher against the Smoke, you have to do it quickly.
Shao drew a walk earlier in the game. And now she's facing Lynch for a second time. Quickly, 0-2 to Samantha Shao out of Houston, Texas. Closed out her college career in 2019 at Oklahoma State. Before that, 3 seasons at Texas A&M. Got a lot of former Aggies up and down these rosters. Of course, over in the right side of the infield for the Tidal wave, Wiggins and Cannon both play for the Aggies this year. Aggie fans in attendance here. One might wonder if that's some of the family of some of the players here playing in this game. Shao, her experience in College Station as well.
I'm going to guess Coastal Bend Tidal Wave fan, just given the hat. Really fits in with the vibe.
Yeah.
A&M shirt.
That's true.
Coastal hat.
Yeah. That ball belted foul. It remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Jazil, we saw a bat early in the inning, also played at Texas A&M. Now that headgear's been a theme this week. And speaking of apparel, and we've noted this about Samantha Shao a few times this season, one of the rare times you see a player not bring up the pants with the high socks, pant leg all the way down to her cleats.
The pants that she's wearing also are just a completely different style. They don't have the drawstring.
That's deep, and it is off the warning track, just shy of missing a homer. Shao's going to settle for a double. A deep drive to center field. Just stays in the park, and Samantha Shao another hit this weekend.
Samantha Shao's power on full display again here. She battles in this at bat. Goes to no stride, just quick load, front heel down. Drives it. Ochoa making an effort out there for a jumping catch. I wonder if she kind of lost where that ball was a little bit at the end. Didn't look like she had a great beat on it.
A 2-run homer from Morgan Howe, breaking the scoreless tie. Smoke on top by a pair, and now Shao at second. 2 down for Jada Cody. And the count even, 1 ball and 1 strike.
This is where the Smoke starts to toy with you as a defense. You get a 2-out double. Let's back it up a little bit. Hit by pitch, 2-run home run. Then you get 2 outs and you think, all right, I got it a little bit more under control. Then you give up a 2-out double, and here they go. They just start rolling again through the lineup.
You know, the first 3 games of the series, the Smoke with 2 outs, 14 for 31. Almost hitting 500 with 2 outs.
It's just absurd. And a big reason they're so successful with 2 outs is they don't chase pitches like that. For Jada Cody to have 2 strikes, to not expand her strike zone, force the pitchers to come back over the plate. You don't make the pitchers' jobs easy in any sense of the word. You also see a lot of foul balls, even if it's not something that they can hit hard and play. They just find a way to spoil it as an offense, making the pitchers work more, increase their workload, give your not only you as a hitter, but your other teammates a chance to see what else they throw.
A lot of former All-Americans up and down these 4 WPF rosters. Cody herself, first team All-American at Central Florida a couple of years ago, back in 2022. That year set a program record, driving in 75 runs.
What is that, like 1.1 or 2 runs a game?
Swing and a miss, and the second strikeouts of the inning for Lynch. And that'll do it for the third. Not only a couple of strikeouts, but a couple of runs on a 2-run homer hit by Morgan Howe. A towering shot to center has given the Smoke a 2-0 lead at the end of 3. Getting to around 5 o'clock on this Sunday afternoon, slowly turning into the evening. Again, temperatures in the upper 80s, not too bad for a Sunday in July here in Central Texas. Slight breeze at about 9 miles an hour. A few clouds up above as well as we head to the top of the 4th inning. 4th and final day of the WPF week. Each week games are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but there's no softball here. Next week, the 2 series outside of San Marcos. The Tidal Wave will be hosting the Monarchs back in Robstown, and the Smoke will be making their first ever visit to Lubbock next week to take on the Hub City Adelitas. 2-0 Smoke on top, courtesy of a 2-run homer from Morgan Howe. It hit the top of the tool shed. Hits it off of Kelly Lynch. Meanwhile, Jessica Mullins for the Smoke. 3 innings in the books for her, already 4 strikeouts. Only a couple of singles given up by Mullins. You know, yesterday the Smoke were wearing another new uniform set that had the player nicknames on the back of the jersey. And back to the regular last names on the backs here. But for Mullins, you see her nickname on her glove. Mully.
The Smoke really have quite the uniform arsenal. Very unique color scheme, too.
Black and red, the primary colors. Some gray in there, and then you add in the neon accents. Yellow and or green, depending on how you look at that. Yeah, this is the 4th different uniform combo we've seen this week in as many days. And I think we're up to 7 different uniforms we've seen this year.
It's more than I ever had on any one team. But you get to the pros and you get the fun stuff.
That's true. Now, the all neons we saw on Friday, again designed by owner Brandon Phillips' daughter. Saw him here at the ballpark the first few days of the series. Not seeing him here today as we see Whitley ground out to short. Good play made by Denver Bryant, and 1 away in the 4th inning.
Good job by Denver Bryant to get rid of that quickly. Tate Whitley runs well down the first baseline. Was hit fairly hard, but Bryant still had to collect it and get rid of it at a quick clip to get Whitley running down the line.
Nobody on, 1 out for the shortstop, Tatum Anzaldo. And a foul ball starts her at bat. Anzaldo, again, played her college softball at Cal. Was named first team All Pac-12 for a 3rd consecutive season this year. First time that's happened for a Cal player in 11 years. And now a new set of challenges awaits that program. Out of the Pac-12 into the ACC. A 1 Swing and a miss. Alzondo behind 0-2, already struck out against Mullins earlier in the day.
Alzondo really struggling to identify that upper part of the strike zone. That first strikeout in the first inning was on a rise ball. Doing a better job there, getting her barrel to it. Just feels like she's not seeing that upper part of the zone very well at all, which can be difficult as a slapper if you're running through the box. Not only is the ball moving, but you are also moving.
No balls, 2 strikes. Trinity Canada waits on deck here for Coastal Bend. So far, they've been held scoreless by Mullins. Cannon has 1 of the 2 hits. That's been it for the offense. In games 1 and 2, the Tidal Wave held a single run, courtesy of Alzondo's homer off of Autumn Pease on Thursday, but then scored 6 yesterday. Showed a lot of fight against the Smoke in what was kind of a back-and-forth game. Smoke had to hold on to win, 7-6. But the Tidal Wave scored in the 5th, 6th, and 7th innings, almost coming all the way back to beat the Smoke yesterday. But it was Shaw with a strikeout of Grace Chellerman to end the game, and the threat as Alzondo is down on strikes for a second time, and that is number 5 for Jessica Mullins.
Jessica Mullins is just rolling through this Tidal Wave lineup right now. She's used her rise ball. She's used her changeup. Here she goes to a screwball in the outer corner. Just a really nice job of mixing all of her pitches effectively here today.
2 up, 2 down, and here is Trinity Cannon. And we discussed this earlier. These two no strangers to one another. A lot of battles over the last several years, Aggies and Bobcats. Texas State hosted Texas A&M this year in what was a wild game. It was a walk-off win for the Bobcats. Won in a walk-off fielder's choice.
Not something you see very often.
You would think the choice the fielder is to go home, right?
The choice made there was the wrong one.
It was a wild set of circumstances. I believe the bases were loaded. It was kind of a weakly hit ground ball on the right side from Carmen Bass, and was able to reach first base, and there was no throw home available, and the Bobcats again walked off. But the Aggies, of course, got their payback later in the NCAA tournament. Cannon shoots that one a long way, but foul, just ahead of that pitch.
Cannon all over that changeup from Mullins. We mentioned it. They played each other a lot. She recognized that one early out of the hand and just unable to keep it fair. But I doubt we see Mullins throw that pitch again unless it's bounced down in the dirt.
That time goes to the right side, and no play available for Morgan Howe. Who was telling her teammates she's ready to dive over the wall if need be.
She's having zero fun out there, as you can tell. Saw her leap over the foul line, too. A lot of softball players are superstitious and can't touch the line on game day.
I was wondering about that.
You never heard that rule? Can't touch the line on game day?
Probably not since, like, elementary school. But sure, I mean, I believe it. You have a lot of superstitions?
No. Being superstitious was way too much work for me.
Yeah?
Having to remember I put this sock on first and that sock on first. Can't do this, can't wear that outfit, gotta do my hair the same way. I was a feel person. Wake up, this feels good, this is what I'm gonna do today. But I've had teammates that are crazy about it. Even coaches, too.
On the ground, Eccles vacuums it up, throws to first base. And for the second time in the game, a 1-2-3 frame for Jessica Mullins. The Tidal Wave have been held scoreless through 4. The Smoke lead 2-0, and from San Marcos, we're back after this. Well, just as we were talking about, Brandon Phillips is in fact here in attendance for the game today. Been down here all week long with his franchise, the Texas Smoke, team owner of both the Smoke and the Monarchs. And what a start for his team this year's club, the reigning champions of the league. 22-14 into the regular season last year, and then went on to win the championship in the postseason. Well, this year the Smoke picked up what they left off of and then some. 13-1 record. Cat Tarbin last year was the pitching coach for the Smoke, and now the head coach for the franchise, also the head coach currently at North Carolina Central out of the MEAC.
I had the privilege of calling Cat Tarbin's NC Central championship tournament game in the MEAC a couple years ago. Wow.
How about the cat-like reflexes there from Kelly Lynch? That ball in a flash off the bat of Mason, and Lynch was ready for it.
That was like a go-go gadget arm that just flew out of there. I don't even know if Lynch even saw that ball. I think her glove just caught it for her. That's just reaction time for you right there.
Nobody on went out for Anna Marie Bruni. You know, we were talking about superstitions earlier, and we noticed Morgan Howe jumping over the foul line, make sure she didn't step on it, and kind of asking about superstitions. And we were talking in the break, and you mentioned one of your travel coaches, if she was wearing a particular outfit, I think you said sweatshirt and pants, and you were winning, wouldn't take it off.
Yeah.
But what I wonder, when you have a superstition, once things go well, like, oh, we won that game, I was wearing these socks or whatever the case may be, I'm going to keep wearing them. But what happens when it's inevitable that, you strike out or you lose a game? Is it still a good luck charm? I mean, what happens from that point on?
Right. Like, where do you draw the line, and how do you pick the next superstition, I have had moments, like, let's say you have a really good game and, oh, what did you eat for breakfast today? That's a joke that you hear people say. And I've had that, oh, I hit really well today and I ate pancakes, so I'm going to eat pancakes in tomorrow. But I was never a player that got overly bought into the superstition because, like, it's just too much work for me. I just can't justify it. But, yeah, I don't know where you draw the line.
I know there were times as a fan growing up watching a lot of sports where my team was playing well and I was sitting in a certain position on the couch kind of thing, that don't move kind of deal. They're doing well, but it was isolated to that one game. It wouldn't carry over to the next game or the next day. That's
fair. I will say, as a fan, whether I'm watching a game, especially if I'm watching one of my friends and we change the momentum of the game, I will be that person in the stands saying, nobody move, go back to your spots. Just, it's fun. You get into it that way, but I was never, okay, I'm watching my friend play today, so I have to sit in this spot, eat this for breakfast. Like, superstitions can be fun with the mojo, and everyone jokes in softball. It's all about momentum and got to change things up. So,
well, let me ask you this: as Bryant takes that pitch, runner takes off for second, and Bruni is in with a stolen base, her second of the game. And now runner in scoring position with one out. So now that you're on this side of things as a broadcaster, so many people talk about a broadcaster's jinx. I've been doing this longer than you have. I don't believe in them. Where do you stand on it?
Oh, I absolutely do.
You do?
Yes. If you're – the first one that comes to mind is a no-hitter. If you talk about the no-hitter, I don't care if you're a player, an opposing player, a broadcaster. I've seen it too many times. They bring it up, and then it's jinxed. I do believe in it.
So what's the difference between somebody at home watching and hear announcers say that as opposed to somebody being in the stands, not watching or listening to the broadcast, and nobody says anything about the no-hitter, but it still gets broken up?
You mean?
So it only gets jinxed in the view of in the world of the viewer?
Well, I think if you're sitting in the stands and you're watching it, and so your friend next to you says, "Oh, hey, they're throwing a no-hitter," like, I think anyone can jinx it if you talk about it. It's jinx.
Okay, so if there's a no-hitter going on, say it's a high-profile game, thousands of viewers, thousands of people in the stands, the possibility is out there that there could be hundreds of people jinxing it. Is that what you're saying?
Sure, but I also would argue that most fans in the game may miss that if they're not closely paying attention, that there actually is a no-hitter going on.
So I'll say this. Jessica Mullins, her debut game, as she's starting this game for the Smoke, debut being in college. Pitched against Abilene Christian. This was at the back end of the snow apocalypse that Texas experienced. A week of frigid weather, snow, and power outages here in the Lone Star State. Here's a fly ball from Espinoza. High fly. Is it deep enough? It is. Silent Rain Espinoza with a 2-run shot. And it doubles the Smoke lead of 4-0.
Silent Rain Espinoza is just on fire, continuing her hot approach at the plate. And just another example of a ball that just keeps on carrying. Kelly Lynch tries to go up and in at the hands, but it's not in enough. Espinoza doing a great job of taking that pitch from high to higher.
Second straight game, Espinoza has homered. Her series now 6 for 12. 2 homers, 7 RBI. We're going to play her filling in at the top of the order and at second base in place of Janae Jefferson. And now a timeout in the circle. So continuing my story here, Mullins in her debut game, as you look at the bullpen getting active here for the tidal wave, facing Abilene Christian, has the no-hitter going. And my broadcast partner, we know her well, Kat Osterman. And I had avoided addressing it until we got to the top of the 6th. And
I'm sure she was so mad at you.
And I made the first production crew aware, just so you guys know, she has a no-hitter going. And the look on Kat's face was that of, how dare you get out of the booth right now.
You don't tell a pitcher that there's a no-hitter going on, especially Kat Osterman.
Yeah, she wasn't happy. Now, Mullins went on to finish the no-hitter. But you see, I feel like my job, now ours, as you're in the booth with me, is to tell the audience what is going on in the game. And I feel like you're doing a disservice if you don't address the viewing audience about what's happening here. If you get to that final out potentially and nobody has any idea there's a no-hitter and all of a sudden you see the players react, you're thinking as a viewer, why are they getting so riled up? And then the announcers tell you, I don't think that's right.
I think you have a valid argument, and there's a ton of logic to it. I can't fault that, but as a former player, I will never be able to justify notifying people that there's a no-hitter. I'm sorry, it's just the way the game's played. I can't make the rules.
All right, well, Haley and I will continue our argument later on in the broadcast. Meanwhile, Silent Rain Espinoza, a 2-run homer, and the Smoke are on top 4-0 at the end of 4. Jessica Mullins, 4 innings in the books along the way, 5 strikeouts of this tidal wave lineup. She's punched out Anzaldo twice, Grace Chellerman, Alyssa Garcia, and Maya Stevenson. Through 4 innings, no runs, a couple of hits, and the 5 Ks from Mullins, looking to pick up her second win of the series. Her team on top 4-0 as we head to the 5th.
Jessica Mullins has been so effective in the circle all day today, and she hasn't just relied on one pitch. She's used her changeup, her rise ball, her curve ball, really attacking up and in for the most part against righties and away from the lefties.
And here faces Julie Jimenez. That is 5, 6, and 7 of the order for the tidal wave. Jimenez, Garcia, and Wiggins, the only offense so far. Surprise, surprise, Smoke home runs continue to do that this series. A couple of 2-run homers. Morgan Howe and Silent Rain Espinoza. And Howe wasn't far off from hitting another in the fourth inning as we see Jimenez fly out to Howe and right. Howe, during the middle of our Jinx conversation, hit a really high, towering fly ball to right and just enough space on the warning track for Chellerman to make the catch.
She missed another home run by about 2 feet.
Maybe. Strike one to Alyssa Garcia. 0 for 1 of the game with, again, one of the 5 strikeouts against Mullins. One of the Adelitas players, McKenna Brocky, her dad played in the Mariners organization, as did Alyssa Garcia's dad, Tony Garcia, played in the Mariners organization. And Alyssa herself grew up a big baseball fan. That's fouled away. Her favorite players growing up, Ken Griffey Jr. and Yadier Molina. Molina playing for such a long time, you could see that, but Griffey Jr., the height of his playing career, I think would have been before Garcia's time.
I'm going to be honest, this is not my area of expertise.
Sure.
So I'm going to leave the sports trivia over here to the expert.
You'll defer to me, right?
And I'm going to call you the Jinx bad guy from now on, too.
Okay, so, but it's not uncommon, right, for softball players to grow up also idolizing baseball players.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
In there for a strike over the second time. Garcia goes down looking.
Jessica Mullins going to that changeup again. Perfectly located. Alyssa Garcia not expecting that at all. Leaves the bat on her shoulder. Been really impressed with Jessica Mullins' outing all day today thus far.
Swing and a miss, strike one. All right, so Ken Griffey Jr., one of the greatest baseball players ever. His dad also played.
Well, now you're going to make me sound
no,
like I'm clueless.
Hey, no, just a little education here, okay? So this whole dynamic with Bronny and LeBron, we've seen before the big league level with the Griffeys, okay?
Okay.
And Ken Griffey Jr. first played with the Mariners in the mid-'90s, and he just exploded onto the baseball scene. I mean, one of the great home run hitters. Winds up going to Cincinnati and playing with the Reds as well. And he's one of the few players ever with more than 600 career home runs. So there you go, as we see Mullins strike out Wiggins to end the fifth. And Jessica Mullins dealing today. She is now retired 8 straight, and in the game is up to 7 strikeouts. We head to the bottom of the fifth. 4-0 Smoke over the tidal wave. After 4 innings from Kelly Lynch, Blake Miller making a change in the circle now. The Tidal Waves head coach has turned to Haley Archer, who we saw start Game 2 of the series. Archer making her second appearance of the weekend against the Smoke. From Columbus, New Jersey, played her college softball at Cal. This season with the Bears was third of the Pac-12 in shutouts, had an ERA of 3.01 in Berkeley, and a career-high 96 strikeouts, although we did see her against this lineup on Friday, Haley, and had a tough time.
Yeah, Haley Archer had a rough inning. She did respond well and stayed in the game for longer than I think we both thought she would, and continued to battle and find some success, but the smoke hitters definitely challenged her when she left balls up in the zone and or over the white part of the plate.
Archer facing the heart of the order, batters 3, 4, and 5, Hill, Eccles, and Shao. The 4 runs for the Smoke, courtesy of a couple of 2-run homers, Morgan Howe and Silent Rain Espinosa. You were talking earlier about the exposure of softball, and how much that's grown. The streaming services like this, like ESPN Plus, which you and I do a lot of games for as well, and so many more games are now on television and available for young fans to watch. I was waxing poetic with you about King Griffey Jr. Reason why? I had a chance to watch him. I think back to my childhood, and there wasn't a lot of softball on TV.
Even when I was growing up prior to high school, you didn't see softball on TV until probably at least regionals, super regionals, and not every game was televised because it wasn't a mainstay on the ESPN networks. And now with the introduction of ESPN Plus, you can turn on probably anywhere of 25 games in a day with streaming versus cable, especially when you get into April, May conference tournament season. Now you also have ESPN setting up studios at the Women's College World Series, at the SEC tournament. And I really do believe if you see it, you can fall in love with it, and you can believe as a young girl, hey, I could, make a life out of this.
Yeah.
I could make a lot of friends. Look how much fun they're having. Look at how hard they work at it. But without seeing it on TV, you don't know that you love it or know how fun it could be.
Again, I think back at the era that I grew up in, and in terms of household names, the list was really short. Jenny Finch, Kat Osterman were the 2 players that stood out. And certainly with the job that you and I now have, we're exposed to it a lot more than maybe the average fan. But there are far more household names now than ever before, in the game. You have players that make a big run in the NCAA tournament or in the Olympics, and now here with professional softball and the WPF and Athletes Unlimited, more and more of these players are becoming those household names.
Well, and I can tell you just from my personal experience, I've been fortunate enough to go to the Women's College World Series almost every year since I was probably 13. And the growth of the sport in those 10, 12 years alone would blow your mind. I mean, they expanded the stadium. Now it sells out. We used to sit in the outfield for the entire World Series for maybe $200 a person. Now you're selling a 1-session ticket for 2 games above that price. And that's awesome for the sport. Yes, there's the whole debate of should it be in Oklahoma or should it not. Find me another stadium that can house it in that kind of environment. It doesn't exist in the U.S. today. Nice play.
And Hill almost doubled off of second base. So, yeah, Wiggins a great pick over at seconds. And again, it was Hill able to get back in the bag. So an unfortunate out if you're Charlotte Eccles, but a good play if you're Coastal Bend. 1 away here in the 5th inning, and it brings up Samantha Shao. Yeah, I remember the World Series 2021 when JMU made their run. Odyssey Alexander, right? Captured the nation's attention that year.
That was amazing to be in Oklahoma City to watch all the fans just rally behind JMU. And that's what's special to me about softball in Oklahoma City, because growing up as a little girl, what do you dream about? Going to Oklahoma City. It's like the baseball College World Series has been in Omaha forever. If they move it, what are you going to dream about going now,
Yeah.
That crowd, and yes, a ton of Oklahoma fans show up, but if it was in Austin, a ton of UT fans would be there. You know, it's just the reality of where it's played. And I've been in that stadium and I've seen it sold out whether Oklahoma is playing or not year after year. Softball fans just continue to show up for the sport. And can't remember who it is that I follow on social media somewhere that works at ESPN. This is not my quote, but I've seen it. There's people that love softball and there's people that don't know they love it yet. And I think the more exposure that the sport gets, the more fans that are just going to continue to fall in love with it because it is fast, it's fun, there's speed, there's power. You don't have to have a certain body type to be good at the game. I don't know how you could watch this sport and not find something that you love about it. Of course, I'm biased, but there's just so many amazing things that these athletes do and the shenanigans involved. It's it's a great sport, and it teaches you so much about life, too.
Meanwhile, back to the matter at hand here. Just saw a wild pitch. Archer's pitch got away for the catcher, Garcia, and so now you see Hill standing at third base. Full count to Shao. Data Cody awaits on deck. Archer, beg your pardon, out of the pen after Kelly Lynch giving the Tidal away 4 innings, giving up 4 earned runs off 6 hits to include a pair of 2-run homers. And Shao walks for the second time. 3 plate appearances. She's been on 3 times. A couple of walks sandwiched around a double.
Samantha Shao is definitely seeing the ball well today. Hasn't got many pitches to swing at, but when she has, she's made the most of her opportunities.
So now runners first and third, 1 away for Jada Cody. An 0 for 2 afternoon so far for Cody. And ahead a ball and no strikes here against Haley Archer. Talked about her time at Cal. 4 seasons in Berkeley. 35 wins, close to 300 strikeouts. First year in the WPF. It's a foul ball, 1 ball and 1 strike. And a player who would eat a lot of innings, more than 430 in her career. 21 career complete games for Archer. 8 of those shutouts.
Some definite workhorse numbers from Haley Archer.
And that hits Cody painfully in the side. You saw the game earlier today, Hub City. Emily Bracamonte took a ball really hard and had to come out of the game. Chloe Temples had a ball lined back to her, hit off of her hip. So it has been a tough day for a lot of players today. Ball's coming right back at them, hitting them at the plate, and now the bases are loaded here, and it brings up Elizabeth Mason. And just like that, the potential walk-off comes up. If Mason can get a hold of one, could end the game early.
Never feels good taking a softball, which is not soft, off the hips or the ribs or anywhere in the stomach area. Looks like Jada Cody's going to be all right, though, and is going to run for herself.
Here's Mason. Bases juiced and 1 out. The bases are loaded here, and the Smoke don't have a hit in the inning. A couple of walks and a hit batter. The only out was a hard hit out by Eccles.
Feels like Archer right now is struggling to find her command. That hard hit ball from Eccles is really the only pitch for the most part that I've seen that I would want to attack as a hitter. So credit Eccles for attacking when she had the chance, but 2 walks and a hit by pitch. Definitely some command issues for Archer right now in the circle with their back against the wall and a potential run rule in effect, as you mentioned.
Not swinging here. Takes on the 2-0. 2 balls and a strike to Mason. 1 for 2 with an infield base hit. 5 for 10 over the weekend. Mason, one of the players filling in for Savannah Jakewish. Jakewish, along with Janae Jefferson, with the national team in Italy.
Credit to Elizabeth Mason and Silent Rain Espinoza to be able to just step up and fill in and not skip a beat. I mean, and I would argue even more than that, just shine at the plate and defensively. It can be hard as an athlete if you're not the everyday starter. You finally get your opportunity, find yourself pressing, trying to make sure that you squeeze every ounce of effort and opportunity out of the chance you're given. But if you try too much in this game, which is already hard enough, it's hard. You don't have to make it harder.
Full count to Mason. One out here in the fifth, and again the bases loaded. Hill, Shao, and Cody the runners. And the 3-2. And we'll see another pitch here.
Really good battle from Elizabeth Mason. Archer's trying to throw just about everything at her. This is, to me, where you can tell a professional hitter from a collegiate hitter is they just find ways to extend the at-bat.
And that's a walk. Going to bring in a run. That'll bring Hill to the plate to make it a 5-0 game. So a run walked in. 4 batters have reached without a hit here against Archer. So has had control and command issues here. And now the run rule run stands at first base. Anna Marie Bruni looks at a strike on the outer half. She's 0 for 1 with a walk and a couple of stolen bases.
Bruni trying to go to that hard slap. See her trying to bounce it straight into the ground. Didn't quite get enough on top of it. Generated that backspin for a foul ball. She knows the infield is in, respect the speed, and also the force play at home. So trying to bounce something over their heads, get Samantha Shao in, get herself on base.
0-2 on the way, and Bruni does an offer. Had a really good series last week against Hub City. 5 for 5 with a triple and scored 4 times. Has a double this weekend against the Tidal Wave. As Haley said, a lot of good speed. Tough out to get at first base. If she puts the ball in play, she cannot. Strikes out swinging for the second out here in the fifth.
Good location there from Haley Archer. Gets Bruni to swing through. Pitch on the outer part of the plate. Now with 2 outs and the bases loaded, she's got a chance to get out of this. Infield can go anywhere.
And now Kat Tarvin going to bring in a runner for Mason at first.
Kat Tarvin understanding the run rule situation effect. Gonna get some more speed in at first over there.
Gonna bring Bruni back into the game to pinch run. And I wonder if she's gonna bring in a pinch hitter for Bryant as well. Espinoza is on deck, but she's not due to hit here. Somebody else is. It's Bryant's spot, but as you said, perhaps Kat Tarvin, sensing the ability to end a game early, want to bring some more pop at the plate here as opposed to Bryant's. And it looks like she's going to bring up Raquel Miller. And Miller now visiting with Morgan Howe. Howe, of course, has seen Archer before. And talking to Miller, who steps in, Raquel Miller from Fayetteville, Georgia, was a Division II star at King University.
Rocking the shades.
Yes, she is. Raquel Miller, a Division II All-American, second team in 2022 with that stellar eyewear, as Haley pointed out. Set program records at King University in homers and slugging in that 22 year. And she's ahead here, 2 balls and no strikes. Was also a basketball player at King University located in Bristol, Tennessee.
You know how hard it is to be a two-sport athlete in college? You're pretty much in season all year round.
All year long.
Especially basketball and softball with a little bit of overlap.
Well, Miller here with a ground ball to third of the force play made by Jimenez at third base. The Smoke leave the bases loaded, but they lead 5-0 at the end of 5 in San Marcos. Jessica Mullins did not pitch in the series against Hub City last week for the Smoke. She has pitched twice in this series and has done so really effectively. Got the win on Thursday. If you recall, when she came into the game on Thursday, did so with the bases loaded, her team trailing 1-0 and inherited a 2-0 pitch count. Got out of the jam. The offense came to life in the bottom of the sixth to win the game. And today, Mullins, 5 scoreless innings. And along the way, she has struck out 7, just 2 hits given up. And she is cruising, as is her team, on top 5-0.
Mullins just looking so sharp from pitch 1 in the top of the first all the way here in the top of the 6th. Just really feels like she can decide to throw any of her pitches in any given count and put them exactly where she wants them.
Leadoff batter for the Tidal Wave, Maya Stevenson. It's hitters 8, 9, and 1 coming up for Coastal Bend. Stevenson spent this past college season as a grad assistant at Abilene Christian. Here she pops it up, and Eccles from third makes the catch with her teammate Bryant hovering right behind her. Those two share a laugh as Eccles is the one who makes the play.
I thought that Denver Bryant was going to call her off here. Difficult catch to make as a corner going backwards. But Charlotte Eccles opting to take it herself.
Nobody on, what a way for the former Iowa State Cyclone, Malaysia Ochoa. Saw her former Cyclone teammate, Michaela Ramos, start yesterday. So a couple of former Iowa State players now playing for Coastal Bend. Ochoa was a .325 hitter in Ames this year. In there for strike 1 and 1. Last year, 2023, at 12 homers for Iowa State. 7th most in program history.
That changeup from Mullins is just filthy today. She's thrown it a couple different ways, too. She's thrown it a little bit more floaty higher in the zone, and then you see it how she just threw it to Ochoa more down in the zone, not as much drift. When Mullins can locate her changeup the way that she has today, it just sets up everything else that she throws.
And that is off the wall, one of the best balls off the bat of a Tidal Wave hitter today. Not a lot of great contact off of Mullins, but Ochoa with an opposite field double. And she's on with 1 out here in the 6th.
Mullins has been so locked in all day today, but here, 1-2 count against Ochoa and just misses right down the heart of the plate. Great job of Ochoa to be ready for it. Errant throw from Bruni out there in center field, but Ochoa definitely would have been safe anyways. Good job by Mullins to back up that throw from the outfield.
Chellerman putting a bunt down and bunts it foul. She's over 2 with a strikeout. Well, again, you mentioned that changeup. You're a hitter. You got to stay in the zone for so long, and that ball takes forever to get there. It really turns you into a guest hitter. If you're thinking changeup, will come back with that screwball or rice ball, and then you have no time to react.
Well, if you're going to elect to hit the changeup, you have to fully commit to that plan to sit it for the entirety of your at-bat until you get 2 strikes. And to be honest, I'm not sure I would approach that as my plan in this sense, because Mullins isn't throwing it quite enough for me as a hitter to want to sit it. Not every hitter's getting a changeup. It's a great pitch, but it's not probably her best pitch. So unless she's going to consistently throw it over and over to multiple hitters in the lineup, it's a tough pitch to sit, because then, like you said, you're guessing. So I was hitting against Mullins right now. I'd be looking for something down in the zone that's hard, and then knowing in the back of my mind that I have 2 strikes, just trying to stay on my legs and keep my barrel back.
Boy, there she just froze Chellerman. A filthy-looking pitch from Mullins. Good for her 8th strikeout. Second time she's gotten Chellerman, and now has erased 2 here in the 6th.
Chellerman just has no answer for Mullins today. Can't pull the trigger at all. Just completely frozen on that pitch. Mullins got her on a curveball earlier in the game looking, and now goes to the changeup here to get her again.
Tate Whitley, who's 0 for 2. A couple of ground ball outs for Whitley from Angleton, Texas. Although, again, she played her college softball in the SEC at Ole Miss. And never missed playing in the NCAA tournament. Great program at Oxford. 2 balls and no strikes here to Whitley, with Anzaldo waiting on deck.
You know, back to our conversation of sitting changeup. Now that we're coming around through the 3rd time through the order, you've seen Mullins start to show it progressively a little bit more each time. Maybe 3rd time through might be your opportunity to sit it as a hitter.
And that ball is way gone. Whitley with a 2-run shot, and the Tidal Wave are on the board and trying to get back into the game.
Mullins had been so sharp, but now here, 3rd time through the lineup, starting to miss a little bit over the heart of the plate. These hitters are starting to make adjustments. Tate Whitley just absolutely throttling this ball up in the zone, away from her, and again, just too much over the heart of the plate.
3rd homer of the weekend for Coastal Bend. Anzaldo, Chellerman have also gone deep, and now Whitley. A 2-run shot makes it a 3-run game. Bases cleared, 2 down for Tatum Anzaldo.
Really enjoyed that little Tidal Wave home run celebration.
Yeah.
Very creative.
We've seen the Monarchs do their butterfly thing as well.
Love
When
it.
they get doubles or big plays or home runs, whatever the case may be. Tidal Wave have theirs. I don't know if I've seen, I'm not sure how you would do it if you're the Smoke or the Adelitas.
I mean, smoke, you could, like, blow out a candle maybe. That's the only thing that came to mind was smoke. Adelitas, I've got nothing for you. I don't think blowing out a candle is going to hype anyone up, though, I'm going to be honest.
No, that's not how they got their name, by the way. It's not the aftermath of a birthday cake. That's grounded fair, but it bounces off of Cody, and Anzaldo's going to reach base. Looks to be limping a bit as well. On her way back to first. Don't know if something happened on her way to the bag, but Anzaldo looks a little bit discomfort there for her.
I thought I saw her limping just a little bit on Friday night. It's a really tough bounce over to Jada Cody at first base. It kind of catches her on the in-between. Those you have to either go get it on a short hop or try to back up and make it a longer hop. Looks like it's the quad of Anzaldo.
Trying to work it out herself right now. Meanwhile, Kat Tarbin in the circle, talking to the infield, and Mullins, along with Elizabeth Mason. Also in that group is Jessica Jacobson, formerly the pitching coach at UConn, and now the head coach at William Patterson University. The other assistant on the staff for the Smoke, Vernon Bland, the head coach at Prairie A&M. There's Blake Miller, head coach for Coastal Bend. After that conversation, Mullins stays in the game. And our plate umpire, Mario Calabrese, charting down the timeout being used. Also a note here in the lineup. A pinch runner has come in for Anzondo. It's Rock Benavidez. And at the plate here, Trinity Cannon, just like that, the tying run is on deck. 3-run game of the 6th inning. And that is up, ball 1. Mullins against Cannon. So far, she's 1 for 2. Had a base hit back in the 2nd inning. On the ground, snagged by Mullins. Looking at her fine piece of work and then flips it over to first base. And we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, but Coastal Bend trying to rally back. They get a 2-run homer from Tate Whitley. This is now a 3-run game.
Can't just replace him.
And welcome back to Bobcat Softball Stadium, home of the Texas State Bobcats. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Haley Archer in the circle, her 2nd inning of relief. Her offense got her a couple of runs at the top of the inning, courtesy of Tate Whitley, with a 2-run homer off of Jessica Mullins, making this a 3-run game. It's now 5-2. Blake Miller taking a look at his lineup card. Looks like his defense is the same, although Kat Tarvin also has hers out, so maybe there is a change somewhere. We'll keep an eye out on that as we get ready for the bottom of the 6th and the top of the order coming up here for the Smoke. Silent Rain, Espinosa, Morgan Howe, and Jazz Hill batting for the reigning champs as they lead by 3 in a team playing for an 11th straight win.
During Haley Archer's last inning of work, gave up several free passes, 3 walks, a hit by pitch, also a wild pitch in there. Smoke had the opportunity to potentially end this game early, but unable to record a hit even with all the traffic they had.
We can say the infield defense is the same. Jimenez at third. Anzondo is staying at his short despite the fact she looked gimpy on the base paths in the top of the inning. Wiggins and Cannon on the right side of the infield. Espinosa takes a strike. It's 1-2. And it looks like the outfield defense is the same as well. Whitley, Ochoa, Chellerman respectively. So perhaps it was just noting that Anzondo was back in the game at short and that was it. Last time Espinosa was up, hit a 2-run homer, hit that off of Kelly Lynch in the 4th inning. Espinosa's big weekend continues. Had a couple of home runs now against the Tidal Wave. Takes here on a 1-2 count. Espinosa now for the series 6 for 12 with those 2 home runs, up to 7 runs batted in.
She's been so disciplined at the plate, too. Haven't seen Espinosa chase out of the zone at all.
Here she looks at strike 3 on the outside corner.
Espinosa got just a little bit too disciplined there. Good spot from Haley Archer.
Yeah, took the paintbrush to that pitch. Just off the edge, able to get the strike call. And for Archer, her second strikeout. One away in the 6th inning. Brings up Morgan Howe. If you recall, it was a 3-run lead for the Smoke in yesterday's game at the end of 6. The Tidal Wave nearly rallied back, scoring twice in the 7th inning. Looking ahead to the 7th inning, it is Jimenez, Garcia, and Wiggins due up for the Tidal Wave. Batters 5 through 7. 0-1 to Morgan Howe. And again, it is Archer going after the outer part of the plate. Strike 2.
You see Morgan Howe giving that thumbs down. Seen her do that a couple times, kind of just part of her routine to flush that pitch. Didn't like it, gave it a thumbs down, is going to move on. Can tell that Morgan Howe's got a big personality with how she plays the game.
Howe also a 2-run homer in this game in the 3rd inning off of Lynch. So for the Smoke, the offense today, a couple of 2-run shots and an RBI walk from Elizabeth Mason. Meanwhile, the Circle, Jessica Mullins, 6 innings, 2 runs surrendered, and 8 strikeouts. 1-2 to Howe. Ground ball to 3rd, Jimenez. And now there's 2 outs.
Haley Archer going back away from Morgan Howe, who wanted no part of that part of the plate for her first 2 strikes. Looks like she kind of tried to foul that off and spoil it, but unable to push it foul, and just hits a routine ground ball over to Jimenez at 3rd.
Jazz Hill takes ball 1. Again, it's not as hot today as it has been for bulk of the summer, but I mean, it's still pretty warm out there. Temperatures in the high 80s, low 90s, kind of humid a little bit. And you can see some of the sweat pouring off of Archer's face right now. A lot of work in the Circle, trying to keep this a 3-run game. Facing Jazz Hill. And Hill ahead, 2 balls and no strikes.
Anytime it's like below 90 and we're like, oh, it's not that bad out today, that's the tell me you're from the South without telling me.
Yep. You can see that perspiration coming off the forehead of Archer. 3-0. A lot of these players getting accustomed to the Texas heat this summer. Again, all 4 teams in the WPF headquartered in Texas as Hill walks on 4 pitches. And she's on for the 3rd time, 2nd time via a free ticket to first base. Extends the inning now to Charlotte Eccles. So yes, the Smoke and the Monarchs calling San Marcos home, although the Smoke really claim Austin, but they play their home games here. Coastal Bend and Robstown just outside of Corpus, and Hub City playing their home games in Lubbock. Let's just say the temperatures won't really get into the 70s anywhere this summer.
No. I am hopeful that, you know, we've got 4 teams in the league this year. I know there's a couple other women's pro teams around the country. I'm excited to see, hopefully, this league continue to grow. You know, what will years 3, 4, 5, and beyond look like? Because clearly there's athletes that want to play, want to continue to grow the game, not just as an athlete, but also use their platform to give lessons, run camps and clinics, whether it's speaking engagements. There's so many ways that you can still stay involved in the sport, and I'm sure a lot of these players, just like myself as a former player, you want to grow the game. You want to give back to it because it's given all of us so much. It's given us relationships. It's given us life skills, opportunities, allowed people to travel. There's a lot of opportunities that come with playing the game in any capacity beyond high school and college.
This is year 2 of the league. Year 1 last year, there were teams located outside of Texas beyond the smoke. And we'll see how things go this year. If there's any expansion moving forward. 3-1 to Eccles, and she draws the walk. Well, the more you extend the inning and the more you put runners on base, the more fire you're playing with here. Because now the inning extends to Shao with a couple of runners on. This after you just got 2 runs to home plate to cut it to a 3-run game. And Danger's giving those runs right back. Shao has been on 3 times, and now Archer, with a lot of the misses getting bigger here. Shao a couple of walks to a double, her afternoon so far.
We've talked about it over and over again. You keep the Texas Smoke around, they find ways to do damage. They've proven it's not a fluky thing for them to put up big crooked numbers with 2 outs.
Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike to Shao. Jada Cody awaits on deck for Archer. It's up to her to give the Bats a chance in the 7th. 1-1 on the way. Shao fouls it away. And now the count runs to 2 strikes. A lot of these players spending time also playing outside the country and overseas. In the case of Shao, spent time earlier this year playing in Japan. 1-2 pitch, well hit, right field towards a corner, and on the run, the catch is made as Chellerman tracks it down. And with that, the Smoke strand 2, and now the Tidal Wave coming back to the plate, down to their final 3 outs, and they need 3 runs, trailing the Smoke 5-2. All right, here we go. This game this weekend potentially down to its final 3 outs unless the Tidal Wave can come back. 5-2, Smoke on top as we go to the top of the 7th inning. Blake Miller talking to Haley Archer. Just kept the Smoke off the scoreboard at the bottom of the 6th despite threatening. And now the Bats a chance, down by 3. And back out there in the circle going for a complete game is Jessica Mullins. Saw her do this so many times in this ballpark for Texas State. And looking to do so here, representing the Texas Smoke. Coming up for the Tidal Wave, Jimenez, Garcia, and Wiggins. Batters 5, 6, and 7. 5-2 Smoke lead. First pitch dropped in for a strike by Mullins so far in the game. Mullins 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, no walks. The only mistake, a home run given up to Whitley, a 2-run shot in the 6th inning. Boy, there, Jimenez really changing her strike zone. 0-2.
That changeup to go ahead 0-1 from Mullins helped set up that rise ball. After taking the change up, down and away, Jimenez saw something hard, more up at her eyes. Mullins got her to chase.
Jimenez today 0 for 2, has flown out twice. In fact, this part of the order has struggled. Jimenez, Garcia, Wiggins combined 0 for 6. They've struck out 3 times. Mullins some familiarity with a few of these Coastal Bend players, but Jimenez not one of them. Spent her time in the Pac-12. 2-2 on the ground to Eccles. And 1 away in the 7th inning.
Nice pitch from Mullins. Was hit hard by Jimenez, but right to Eccles at third for easy 5-3 put out.
Bases empty, 1 out now for Alyssa Garcia, twice a strikeout victim. Both times has gone down looking. Fly ball to left, and that's hooking foul. You know, when the Bobcats here in San Marcos play home games, anytime there's a strikeout for a Texas State pitcher, a hang-up K is what they call the K zone. Almost surprised somebody's not here on hand to do that for Mullins today.
That's a good point. Bobcat faithful isn't quite used to softball in the summer.
That's true. I'll say this, when Mullins was pitching, the person responsible for those Ks got a workout. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now 2-1. Mullins second in the nation in wins this year and innings pitched. Talk about her going for a complete game. 19 of those this season as a Bobcat. And his strikeout numbers really impressive, 222. With a 1.45 ERA, 12th lowest in the country. 2-1, that ball off of Eccles' glove. Bryant then fields it, throws to first. It pulls Cody off the bag, and Garcia reaches.
What a hard hit ball from Garcia. Almost took Eccles' glove off, it looked like. Just smoked on the outer half. Deflected right to Bryant, but super deep at short. I don't even think with an accurate throw there that she's going to get Garcia running down the line.
Eccles almost no-coned that, and then Wiggins puts down a bunt, and she's on. Mullins, a diving attempt trying to get there, couldn't quite reach it. And so Garcia and Wiggins have reached base to bring up the tying run.
Mullins frustrated with herself. Makes a great effort. This bunt just hits off the sweet spot of Rylan Wiggins' bat. And almost more like a soft line drive.
You know, if Mullins does catch this, it's going to end the game. Because Garcia was already on her way to second base. If Mullins can catch that, Garcia would have been doubled off at first. But she didn't. 2-1. And a pinch hitter coming up now for the tidal wave. Blake Miller making a change, and Kelly Lynch will pinch hit in place of Maya Stevenson.
It's not often you see a pitcher leave their feet to try to dive and catch a bunt, but I would expect nothing less from Jessica Mullins just after having the opportunity to play with her and understand the kind of competitor that she is.
Lynch homered last week in the series against the Monarchs. 20 home runs in her time at Washington. Steps in here with 1 out. First pitch she offers and falls behind 0-1.
Mullins can get Lynch to roll over something to the left side of the infield. Her defense has 2 opportunities to turn either a 5-3 double play or maybe a 6-4-3 up the middle.
See a couple of bodies hanging around the bullpen. I believe Estelle Check is one of them. Don't know if any pitchers are ready to go. If Mullins runs into trouble, ground ball to Bryant, and will flip it to Eccles at third. Heads up play by Bryant. Her momentum taking her towards third base, so that was the play she had to make. Able to do so, and now there's 2 outs.
Yeah, just as you said, Brant, because of the trajectory of the ball and the pace of it off of the bat of Kelly Lynch, only one play there, and it was hit too soft to be able to turn a double play. But a good job to secure the lead out by the Texas Smoke infield.
So now you see the pitching coach, Jessica Jacobson, out there along with Mason and Mullins. Ochoa's batting here, and if you remember, the last time Ochoa was up, hit an opposite field double, and it went high off the wall. Didn't miss a home run by much.
Yeah, good decision to come out and have a conversation here. Just make sure that everyone's on the same page, game plan-wise.
Lineup card out again as Blake Miller makes a change on the base paths. The fielder's choice hit into by Lynch, but she'll go back into the dugout, and the pinch runner is Reagan Glanz at first. So Glanz at first, Garcia at second. Or Wiggins, I beg your pardon, at second. Garcia out after the fielder's choice. And that is ball one to Ochoa. Ochoa 2 for 2 against Mullins today. Infield single and a double. 1-0. Fouled back, strike one.
Mullins is going to want to probably be careful here with Ochoa, just given the success she's had, like we've talked about. Chelleman on deck has had a tough day at the plate against Mullins, 2 strikeouts and a pop-up to short. So if you're playing the percentages here, want to be more careful with Ochoa and take your chance with the Chelleman because she hasn't proven that she can make an adjustment. Yes, you might be facing her with the bases loaded, but if you're placing it off of previous at-bats, might not be a bad gamble to make if you're Jessica Mullins.
And now the tidal wave down to their final strike. Smoke on the verge of their second 4-game sweep of the season against this franchise, the Tidal Wave. It would be their third 4-game sweep of the season. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That'll fill the count, 3-2, or correction. The other sweep was a 3-gamer against Sub City last week due to the weather-shortened series. So a full count. Wiggins at second, the pinch runner Glanz at first. 3-2, and that is a walk to load the bases. So Ochoa on 3 times against Mullins. The tying run is on, and here comes Grace Chelleman.
This is one of those moments as a hitter where no matter what your day has looked like, you just have to keep in mind that the game is going to come back to you. We talked about it already. Chelleman, a tough day against Mullins. No solid contact, 2 strikeout lookings. But yet here she is, top of the 7th, game on the line, and she's got an opportunity to tie it, even take the lead, extend this game to just one more batter.
That was the first walk of the game given up by Mullins, but now ahead against Chelleman, 0-2, and once again, Coastal Bend down to its final strike. That tying run at first base, 0-2 from Mullins. And Chelleman doesn't offer.
If you're Chelleman here, you just got to find a way to win one more pitch. Spoil it, take a ball.
Swing and a miss, struck her out. Strikeout number 9 ends the game, and the Smoke have now won 12 straight, and they sweep the series over the Coastal Bend Tidal Wave.
Such a great performance all the way around by Jessica Mullins. Ran into a little bit of trouble in the back half, 3rd time through the lineup, but she found a way to get the job done. Offense showed up to give her the run support early and often throughout the game, and despite Coastal Bend's attempt to scratch their way back in, the 5-run lead for the Smoke is able to hold.
And with that, Jessica Mullins, our player of the game, a complete game effort, 9 strikeouts for Mullins, just the 2 runs given up, and as good as we've seen her pitch this season for the Smoke, and something we've seen a lot of throughout her softball career.
Jessica Mullins just doing what she does best, attacking the zone, mixing that changeup. I've said it before, but when that changeup's on, it just sets up everything else in Mullins' arsenal, and she was ready to rock from pitch number 1 and carried her team all the way through all 7 innings here today.
And with that, the winning streak with the Smoke stays intact. The league leaders now a 6-game lead for first place over the Texas Monarchs as they sweep the Coastal Bend tidal wave here today, wrapping up a long week of softball at the WPF. Been enjoyable here, Haley, and looking forward to the next half of the season, and we're now halfway through.
It's hard to believe we're already halfway through. It feels like summer just started, but credit the Monarchs and the Smoke for their series wins, and we look forward to the rest of the way.
All right, well, that's going to do it for Haley McKay. I'm Brain Freeman saying once again the final score, the Texas Smoke 5, the Coastal Bend Tidal Wave 2. This has been a presentation of the WPF. For more information, log on to WProFastPitch.com. Until next time, good night from San Marcos.